Hello, Bible readers. It's Wednesday, April 14th. I'm reading from 2 Chronicles chapters 32 and 33, Nahum 1 to 3, and James 2, chapter 14 to chapter 3, verse 18. In 2 Chronicles, we're reading about Hezekiah, Manasseh, and we are about to read about Ammon and Josiah. Lots of kings, only from the perspective of the chronicler. We've heard about these kings before in Kings. Now we get into the Chronicles. Hezekiah enjoys deliverance and blessing. Once we get into chapter 33, we begin a unit, and it's a unit about these three kings. Today's chapter is about Manasseh. Manasseh experiences, he's a model of repentance where he experiences both a faithless part of his life followed by a faithful part of his life. That's what makes him the model of repentance. And then right after him, we get kind of another reinforced example of that, Ammon and Josiah. Ammon would be a reflection of the faithless parts of Manasseh's life, and then Josiah is kind of an echo of the reformed part of Manasseh's life. So that's where we are in Chronicles. In Nahum is one of these, what we call minor prophets. Nahum is a Judean prophet who focuses his attention on Nineveh, of all places, a distant Mesopotamian city. Nineveh, if we looked for its ruins today, because it's a city that doesn't exist today, it's situated on the banks of the Tigris in northern Iraq. Nineveh's ruins are under Mosul. So if you've ever looked at a map of Iraq, you'll see Mosul to the north. Then Nineveh was the premier city of its time. From 750 to 612 BC, it was the most important city in the superpower of its time, Assyria. Nahum is written in the wake of Nineveh's fall. And Nahum is pretty happy about Nineveh's fall, right? A jealous and avenging God is to credit for this celebration. I thought I'd read you a paragraph here. The theme that Nahum's poetry so powerfully expresses, that is the avenging wrath of God, redressing Assyrian oppression and abuse of power by Nineveh, will raise serious questions for theologically and ethnically sensitive readers, particularly in the light of the horrors of war motivated by nationalism and tribalism. It's clear that the church has not been able to easily to integrate Nahum's message into its liturgical use. Nahum shares with Obadiah the dubious distinction of being the only prophetic books that do not appear in the Revised Common Lectionary, and probably for similar reasons. One commentator says, Nahum's message must be that God will not let the wicked go unpunished. Okay, so does Nahum have to be so happy about it? I don't know. Anyway, we go from one of the least known books, Nahum, because it never gets into worship, to James, another book that's perhaps of the New Testament, the least known and least beloved of the letters and books of the New Testament. James is asking, first he's speaking to the deeds of faith. Is knowing enough? That would be James's challenge to how faith works. Is knowing enough, or is there a doing that must accompany knowing? I remember a stewardship book that I read years ago, and it talked about how, when one person in a partnership gives flowers to their beloved, that act of devotion, is it necessary to the relationship? No. Can one love the other without giving flowers? James would get at, I don't think so. James would be saying you can't just love in your mind, you have to love with actions. And so our love for God will just include worship. It's just going to include actions. And then James talks about the perils of speech and how language creates and has the power to have world-creating capacity. He harkens back to Genesis and seeing that God has power through words, so do we. And so really about how faith has a connection to deeds and words. I am one with my God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.